All right, it's time for me to revisit some predictions that I've made and give you an update because I do see the charts doing something unexpected or new, which is pretty bullish. And we want to keep our eye on the potential of a huge bullish move in the markets. Now, let's recap. In the middle of April, I predicted very boldly that the markets were going to climb through the month of April, all the way through the month of May, and that it wouldn't be a sell in May and go away. The markets would continue to pump through the first week of June, but at some point in June, it would cool off and we would begin to move sideways. Now, if you stop and look at the S&P 500, that's exactly what happened. But the markets are doing something that is pretty bullish right now, and the price action's gotten higher than I had anticipated. What I was imagining when I made that prediction is that we would at bare minimum go back up towards the top and retest resistance before the market would have essentially permission technically to go back down or even to go sideways. But we've come up to the top, and even though we see a little bit of bearish divergence in the momentum indicators, which means that momentum is coming down while prices largely, in some cases, going up, some cases moving sideways. That can be an early signal of some stealth selling, but the divergence isn't that strong. And it can also be an indication of a momentum reset, especially if price holds up, which it is. Now, I also mentioned that we had a morning star pattern on the monthly candles, a particularly strong morning star pattern, which basically is a huge flush red candle followed by a doji candle, which could also be a long wick doji candle, which this particular one was, and it had a huge long bottom wick showing a large conviction of buying at the market lows, followed up by some green candles that eventually push and close above the previous breakdown spot of the red flush candle. And if that happens, it confirms that bullish pattern, and it would point us to a move all the way back up to 630 on the S&P 500, which means that everything we love, like Tesla and Nvidia and Meta and Microsoft, have a lot of room to move higher. The market price action is holding up. We only have a handful of days left here in the month of June. And again, I want to remind you that if we close this month with price action above 595, and the monthly candle has to do it. If the monthly candle closes above 595, 596, this confirms a market that's going to shoot all the way up to 630. So I wanted to take some time and look at how that might play out through the rest of this year and compare it to the full year prediction that I've given you in the past. So my past prediction is that we would move sideways through the summer, that we would have some peak and trough moments, so there'd be some volatility, but we would eventually get to the third quarter and that we would fade the top, go on to make a lower low sometime in the third quarter, and then we would come up off those lows going into the end of this year. Well, because of how bullish the market has been and the way things have been running with price action and how this month of June might close, right? Then we've got to change the time frame because it means that we've got to give the market the time to include that blow off top, that huge move back up to 630, which would take some months. And so instead of us fading the top in the third quarter, it's possible that this market will rally hard all the way into the third quarter, possibly even going as long as to November. And then from there, the end of the year, we would begin to see that fade, and possibly the first and second quarter of 2026 could be a bigger correction moment then. At the moment, my concern has actually been to put more money to work and not miss that big potential up move. Now, that's the short view. Let me pause for a minute, guys. And I just want to take a brief moment and talk about the Stocks with Josh Discord, my pro trading community. And this morning, I gave my usual A+ scalp trade setups on the SPY, NVIDIA, and Tesla. Tesla was the one to take. It's the one that makes the most money because it has the most volatility every day, if you can stomach that volatility. But these trend lines make it easy. When the price broke beneath my trend lines, nothing but red candles. Very easy day to make money taking the A+ trade setups. Let me know if you guys took those trade setups this morning. They were very profitable. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you're not part of the Stocks with Josh pro trading community, it's the name of the show, is the name of the website. You just simply add www to it, StockswithJosh.com. You can come check it out. Okay, let's talk about what the market being bullish and having a blow off top would mean for crypto. Because I largely believe that Bitcoin is going to run with the market as a risk asset. And I believe that if we do have a strong third quarter for the S&P 500 and we do get all the way up to 630 or even 640 in the third quarter, it means that crypto is going to have more legs to the upside. When you look at NVIDIA, it's been the AI stocks and the chip companies that have been leading the way, and they've been maintaining their price very well. Now, we could see some pullback, and I'm going to show that to you in the SPY here in just a minute, but I believe that pullback could be a very valuable entry point, right? And so I'm not saying that we are shooting straight higher from here all the way to the end of the year. I'm saying that it's going to be a market that's still in a bull rally mode, and that it's going to be worth buying the dip. The goal that we're wanting to see the S&P 500 do on the monthly time frame, if we go to that chart, is we simply have to close above this red candle. This was our breakdown candle right here, and we simply have to close above it. And you can see that we're very, very close to doing that. And if we do that, we confirm this Morningstar pattern. And if we confirm this Morningstar pattern, then we're going to get up here to 630. That's pretty much the way I see the markets, and I think they will play out that way, okay? But I also want to point out another scenario, because we could have a small correction. I just want to point out how often it comes back and bounces off the 20 when it's in an ongoing bullish move, right? All of these times, these are weekly candles. When it came back and hit the 20, it bounced. So we've gotten above the 20, and we've run now here for about a month and a week since we got above the 20, and we've not yet come back and bounced off of it. So to me, this would be the ideal spot to potentially go long again, and that could be a move all the way back to 582. So the blow off top idea is absolutely in play. My original prediction has to be revised to take it into consideration. The line remains the same. We have to close above 595. We do, both in the remainder of this month and possibly the first 2 weeks of July, have the risk of doing a pullback and a test of that 20 EMA on the 1 week time frame, which could bring us as low as 580. But as long as we bounce there, the market will remain healthy, and we likely would move higher for weeks and months ahead. That's basically what I'm seeing. And I'm going to go into a more in-depth video on Bitcoin and the alts as soon as I can. But the main point I wanted to allude to regarding Bitcoin is I believe that Bitcoin is going to run with the overall markets. And I believe that if we hold up, even if we get a small pullback on the S&P 500 to 580 to 590, that would look like a pullback to 99 or 100 on Bitcoin. And it could mean that some of the alts, which are down on their lows here recently, could have one more mini move down. But this all could be setting up for the next best buying opportunity for the entire year. I will tell you a couple of things that I am concerned about, the same things the Fed talked a lot about, which is the tariff war. Here on July 9th, we have the EU tariff reprieve coming to an end. So it means they're going to get hit with more tariffs. And in addition to that, the 90-day reprieve with China will come to an end August 14th. So the EU deal and the China deal is what's really going to drive volatility in July and August. But if the market begins to get a whisper of those deals getting worked out, this is what could continue to drive the market higher. And you got to remember, third quarter could be pretty good because we might get some of those interest rate cuts that the Fed has alluded to. All of that would bring everybody back to a Goldilocks feeling. The animal spirits would be on fire and the market would rip through 2025, and then we would fade it towards the end of the year. That's the big picture view. Love to hear from you guys. What do you think? This is going to set up for some huge money-making opportunities if we have the confidence to buy this potential coming dip, this minor 2% dip that we could get. We're going to have to have the courage to buy. That is going to be the challenge. Let me know what you guys think. Appreciate you all. Peace and blessings. Hit that like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.